China has been considered the world's factory for a few decades at this point, and it's gotten a bad rap for it. When consumers see the Made in China tag on their clothes, they tend to assume lower quality and less skilled workers than in Europe and the US. So in 2018, when Balenciaga changed the tags in their shoes from Made in Italy to Made in China, big uproar. But for a long time now, many European and US luxury brands have been manufacturing their shoes, their clothes, their bags, other accessories in China. And you can watch my The Truth Behind Made in Europe episode for more details there. So, why China? Yes, there are low skilled workers in China. And there is a huge, very deep pool of incredibly highly skilled workers. As the former longtime head designer of Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, and his own brand Tom Ford said, luxury began in the East. Let's remember that, guys. Thousands of years before Europe and the US even existed, China and other ancient Eastern civilizations were producing the most astounding luxury goods that eventually they would export en masse to Europe once it became Europe and the monarchies there were established. What's one example? Silk. Thousands of years ago, the Chinese began to use silkworms, cultivate silkworms for their silk. That was such a coveted luxury material, as well as the silk textiles that the Chinese were producing, that an entire global trade route called the Silk Road was born from that demand. Pearls. Thousands of years ago, the Chinese began cultivating pearls. Today, about 97% of the world's pearl market, is based in China. Cashmere. Most of the world's cashmere today comes from Inner Mongolia in China. Ivory, wood, so many other luxury high-end items have a deep tradition in China. So, of course, the country still maintains that skill set, right? Not among everybody, obviously, but among a certain group of workers. When I go back to China, I can be in like a city that no one has ever heard of outside of China, and I will walk into the most nondescript mall in a nondescript store, and I will find these beautiful raw leather loafers. I'll find like snakeskin print embossed backpacks that are incredibly chic, very, thin straps, like square with a great flap. I'm currently wearing a vintage jacket in China from the 1970s. This is a leather blazer that I bought 20 years ago in China. China makes incredible leather goods. It's very slim fitting, beautiful stitching. The material, the leather itself is incredibly supple. And then this is something that any store I'll walk into, I'll just find like a gorgeous raw leather backpack like this. So it would be good for us to just remember history too, and the history of where luxury started, where it came from, and that made in China can mean many, many, many more things than just low cost, mass produced factory goods.